Greetings to everyone on my channel. Sit back. Now you will listen to another incredible story about the relationship of a married couple and the incredible exposure of his wife. I will ask you to subscribe to my channel and like it. It's not difficult for you, but it's nice for me. Maxim was sitting in front of a women's clothing store in the mall and waiting for his wife. There are several shopping bags nearby, and he was busy playing on his phone. He didn't like shopping, but his wife made him go with her. While Maxim continued to play the game on his phone, an Armenian man with a Victoria's Secret bag stopped in front of him. The man looked at him as if trying to remember. The man with the phone seemed familiar to him. And then his face broke into a wide smile. Maxim Baranov, is that right? Maxim looked at him. Yes. And you? You look familiar, he answered, trying to remember who the Armenian guy standing in front of him was. Karen, dude. Don't tell me you've forgotten me, the tall man said. Oh yes, I remember. No wonder, of course I remember you, Maxim said, remembering Karen, a college friend. He felt the blood sinking to his lower abdomen as he recalled their experience together. But there is no desire to talk about it with him now. Karen has changed a bit since her college days. He used to have a toned body, but it seems that he allows himself a lot, and he also has receding hairlines. He used to be a tall, dark-skinned, handsome Armenian who was desired by all the girls in college. Wow. I haven't seen you for a long time. Maybe 13 years ago, Maxim said anxiously when he thought how quickly the years had passed, and now he was 35 years old. Maxim thought that Karen should be 40 years old. Karen graduated a little earlier, and he entered college before Maxim. Yeah, I think you're right. Having said that, Karen sat down next to Maxim and put his bag next to his friend's bags. You've changed, friend. I've been remembering who you are for a whole minute, Maxim said with a hint of disappointment. That's what happens, man. When you get older, you get a belly, your hair falls out, he replied with a grin. But it's nice to see that you're keeping yourself in shape, Karen replied, and then pointed to Maxim's wedding ring. So it seems you've given up. Are you married? Yeah. 7 years. 2 more children, a 6-year-old boy and a 4-year-old girl. Maxim told Karen. What about you? Well, a couple of divorces. Now I have a girlfriend. Karen chuckled. When you marry them, they think you're their possession. No marriage for me now, man. My 2 ex-wives are dumb. They're lucky I even married them. Maxim thought that this guy hadn't changed much. He was still an arrogant jerk. But meeting Karen brought back memories of an incident in college, and he hoped Karen wouldn't bring it up at all. I came here to buy something nice for my girlfriend, he said, pointing to the Victoria's Secret bag that he had placed on the bench next to Maxim's bags. And then he saw another Victoria's Secret bag among the different shopping bags. It seems like we're both here for the same reason. Maxim grinned. While they were chatting, a beautiful, tall blonde woman came out of the clothing store. She glanced at them for a moment and entered the store next door. She had a hot body, and the skinny jeans she was wearing beautifully emphasized her round waist. Man, I saw that cool ass, Karen asked Maxim, pointing at her. Karen, this ass belongs to me. She's my wife, Maxim told him with a touch of pride. I bet she's hot in bed, Karen told him with a wink. Max has a very pleasant sex life. His wife was one of those women who really enjoyed making love. One of the few who loved to make oral love and loved him even more when it was necessary to please a man. She loved adventures and was not averse to rolling around in bed. When he thought of his wife enjoying making love, Maxim grinned. Well, I know that, and you should guess. Man, you've always had great taste. Karen smiled slyly. Maxim cringed, knowing that there was no way to avoid a conversation about the past. Karen was going to tell him about something he didn't want to remember. You still remember that hot brunette you dated in college? Having a hot threesome with her at that party is one of my most vivid college memories, Karen said wistfully. Yeah, but it was a mistake. We just got too drunk and lost all shame, Maxim said with a hint of regret. This incident led to Maxim and his girlfriend breaking up. But the very thought of this threesome makes Maxim's heartbeat quicken. So, what do you do for a living? Maxim asked, trying to change the direction of the conversation. I've finally found my calling. I'm a salesman. He always knew how to talk, convince people. That's why I became a car salesman. Karen replied proudly. There's more than enough money now, brother. It's nice to do what you really love, Maxim said, thinking that for a liar and a cunning man like him, it was probably a good job. Maybe next time we need a car, we'll come to you. Of course, dude. I'll give you a very good discount. Karen handed him a business card. We mostly deal in used cars, but I can buy you a really good car, brother. What are you doing? Well, I'm the director of an IT company, Maxim said. That's very good. Karen said, what about the hostess? Is she working? Yeah, she's an insurance company manager, Maxim replied. I hope you keep her on a leash. The woman needs to be put in her place, brother. This is the wisdom I learned from two of my exes. They need to know that the man is the boss. My current girlfriend fully understands this. This is the way to a happy life, brother. Karen's voice was a complete jerk. Hearing the words coming from Karen's mouth, Max was completely shocked. But he wasn't in the mood to argue with him, so he decided not to answer. Give me your phone number, brother. We need to meet sometime, maybe go to a bar or a club. Me, my girlfriend, you, and your wife. Saying that, he winked at a friend. Maxim didn't like the idea of hanging out with Karen. Karen took out his phone. Tell me your number. Maxim reluctantly gave him his mobile number, and Karen called him. Now you have my number too. Save it. Hey kid, are you ready to continue? Maxim's wife Oksana stood in front of them. Who's your friend? She asked. Oksana, meet Karen. We went to college together. Maxim didn't want to call him his friend. Hi, Oksana. It's very nice to meet you. I have to say that you are a very cool woman, and Maxim is very lucky to have you. He tried to be very charming, but Oksana saw through him. She didn't like the way he was brazenly looking at her. He probably undressed her with his eyes. Oh, thank you. So you came to the mall alone? Maxim hates shopping. He will never come to the mall alone, Oksana said, smiling lovingly at her husband. I thought I'd be nice if I bought my girlfriend some nice underwear, Karen said, pointing at the bag. Just like Max bought it for you. Come on, you totally get it. Do you really think Maxim bought me underwear? She laughed. Women wear beautiful underwear just to please their men. So you and Maxim are really just pleasing yourself? Oksana narrowed her eyes philosophically. Hey, that's not true. Oksana, do you want to say that women don't feel good in beautiful underwear? Does beautiful lingerie do anything for you? Asked Karen arrogantly. No, I only wear this for Maxim. Because he likes it when I wear beautiful underwear. So it turns out you didn't buy anything for your girlfriend. You bought this for yourself. You like it when your girlfriend wears beautiful underwear. It turns you on. Oksana told him irritably. Look, now you're just talking nonsense. Women like to wear beautiful things. They like to expose their body in beautiful rags. Women like to tease men. Turn them on. It's like you're just wearing these skinny jeans with a narrow waist, a skinny top. A couple of people passing by turned at his loud voice. He told her rudely. Don't tell me you don't like it when men stare at your attractive body. When he said that, Oksana blushed. Although she would never admit it, she liked it when other guys kept their eyes on her. You are such a Neanderthal. And very rude and unpleasant, she said indignantly. The type of dork who just use women. You don't see that a woman is more than just an instrument of such pleasure. Using women? Karen chuckled. You're the one who flaunts yourself at the mall, showing off your hot body in tight clothes. And you do it because you like it. Just like you'll get turned on when you wear the underwear your husband bought for you. You like his boner, and it makes you wet, Karen said with a smug, arrogant smile. You're such a jerk. You really think you know me better than I do. Oksana said angrily and replied in a stubborn tone. It doesn't excite me that much. Maxim, let's go. I'm tired of this conversation, she said sarcastically. All right, dear. Saying that, Maxim got up and in the process managed to knock all the bags off the bench onto the floor. He quickly picked up the bags and handed Karen a bag of underwear. Thanks, brother, Karen told him. We should get together someday, and I'll say that you really know how to choose them, he said in a conspiratorial tone, pointing at Oksana. It was nice to meet you, Oksana, he told her, but she didn't answer. Karen walked away from them. What a jerk, Oksana said, looking at Karen leaving. I can't believe you're friends with him. Why didn't you say anything when he was spewing all this nonsense? Well, you're a big girl. I knew you could handle it, he explained. And yes, you're right. He's a complete jerk, but I'm not friends with him. I just know him from college. We saw each other today, after almost 15 years. Maxim told her as they headed out of the mall, which led to the parking lot. So what did he mean when he said you know how to choose them? She asked her husband curiously. It looks like he meant something about me and your previous girlfriend in college, she said hesitantly, trying to guess. Yeah, he knew my friend in college. She was pretty good. I think he meant that you're just as attractive as she is, but you're a lot hotter to me. The hottest woman I've ever had, he said, trying to distract her attention from what Karen had said. He knew she was very perceptive. It's funny, it looks like he meant something else, as if he was trying to hint at something. The way he said it, it seemed like there was something secret between the two of you. She said accusingly to her husband, Now stop flattering me, tell me what else he meant. It only happened once, but… He hesitated. I was very surprised at how it affected me. How much it turned me on. I just never could figure it out. There was a mixture of excitement and confusion in his voice. I think I was young. I've never thought about it since college, Maxim added. Good. We're going home. We have to take the children away, Oksana said softly. Their children were with Oksana's parents. Maxim hesitated, not knowing what to say. I never thought of doing it on purpose. Sometimes thoughts crossed my mind, but I never thought about it. He paused, and, to be honest, meeting Karen gave these vague thoughts more attention. And I don't know, it just seemed like a hot idea to see you with another guy. Just for a few moments I thought about that, but I wasn't going to try to pull it off. He answered honestly. It was quite obvious to Oksana that her husband was completely confused by his own reaction. But you always liked it when other guys stared at me, molested me, so you always encouraged me to dress attractively, she said softly. They both knew about it, but they never talked about it. Yes, it's true. Maxim agreed. You're so beautiful, cutie. So hot. I just like it when other men notice your beauty, admire your body. I think I was proud that other men found my wife so desirable. He said it so passionately that it brought a smile to Oksana's face. But in the 8 years that we've been together, 7 of them are as a married couple. Why did you never think of giving me up, but today you did? She asked. Did you represent me instead of Irina? Oksana asked nervously. Yes, dear. I also imagined you making love to other men. I imagined how they would use your hot body for their needs. The idea that you're giving in to lustful desires, making love just for fun. He blurted out lasciviously. She was very worried because her husband's lascivious statements aroused her. But the rational part of her brain held back the excitement, and she told him, Baby, you know that I will never be able to make love to another man. You're all I need. She told him with love. But I don't mind changing for you. Teasing other men for you. I like what's going on with you. But I'm not going to break my wedding vows. I understand, honey. I am lucky to have such a beautiful, understanding, strong woman like my wife. He kissed her. And I like to flaunt my wife. His voice was filled with excitement. He was glad that everything was open now. Oksana blushed when she heard this. We are both lucky to have each other. I am so glad that our relationship is so strong that we can freely discuss anything. We are extremely honest with each other. It's time to take care of the children. After saying that, she turned to open the car door, but stopped. Honey, is there another question? She asked. You can ask me anything. Maxim replied. Have you ever fantasized about making love to another woman? What is it? She asked. No, dear. You're the only woman for me. You're the only one I ever need. He smiled at her. I know you can imagine me with another man, but I can never imagine you with another woman or thinking about being with another woman. I just wanted you to know. You'll never have to worry about that, Maxim said sincerely. She smiled happily at him and got out of the car. The children are sleeping. Are you going to sleep? She asked her husband, looking at her. A little bit as soon as the game is over, Maxim said, continuing to look at her body. What are you looking at? What is it? She asked timidly. Looking at your attractive body. I still can't believe that I have such a beautiful wife, he said with love. Stop sucking up and go to bed soon, she said with a smile. I'm going to read my book. I'll wait for you to come over. She winked at him and left, and Maxim continued to look at her retreating ass. Maxim was very surprised that Oksana was still standing in front of Karen like this, but his pulse quickened and his heart was pounding wildly, knowing that Karen sees her beautiful wife exactly like this. Oh, dear. When I knocked the bags off the bench, we accidentally mixed up our Victoria's Secret bags. Karen came to exchange the bags. Saying that, Maxim looked at Karen, but Karen continued to stare at his wife. Before seeing Oksana downstairs, Maxim just wanted to exchange bags and send Karen on her way. But now he wanted Karen to stick around and look at his wife. Without even thinking, Maxim blurted out, "You've traveled quite a long distance to get here. Would you like a drink?" Both Karen and Oksana were shocked to hear what Maxim asked. They both stared at him with wide-open eyes. After a moment of shocking silence, Karen said, "Of course, brother. I'd like a drink. Wine will do," he said happily, looking at Oksana. "Honey, can you bring us some wine, please?" he said to her, leading Karen into the living room. Karen sat down in an armchair, and Maxim sat on the sofa opposite him. Despite the fact that Oksana did not want to carry wine for the idiot Karen, she went after him anyway because she did not want to expose Maxim in a bad light in front of him. Man, even if your wife is a complete fool, she has a great body, Karen said rudely. Kind of reminds me of your girlfriend, Urka. Remember, I was in this woman once. He winked at Maxim. I still remember how excitedly you watched Urka spread her legs, he said mockingly. Oksana looks like that Urka. Beautiful face, beautiful round ass, long juicy legs. The only difference is that Oksana is blonde. But I'm not complaining. He smiled slyly at him, casually talking about his wife while sitting in a friend's house. Is she a real blonde? Maxim just nodded. Maxim just sat there and just listened to Karen's rude words. His mind was in turmoil and confusion. He was excited, but he also felt humiliated to hear this jerk talk so dirty about his loving wife, the mother of his children. As soon as Maxim offered him a drink, Karen realized that tonight could be a repeat of what happened 15 years ago. So far, he has skillfully manipulated Maxim. Tell me one thing. Does Oksana like to make love as much as Urka? Is she good too? Karen asked Maxim, looking into his eyes. Karen understood that Maxim was excited, but still did not understand how much. The cunning Armenian deftly pulled the strings, guiding the embarrassed husband. That's enough, Karen. You know better what's going on with Irina. And don't ask me that about my wife, Maxim said in a trembling voice. Both men looked at each other for a minute, and Maxim just gave up. Yes. She is very hot in bed. She really likes making love to me, but I don't think she looks like Irina. Don't worry, we'll find out, Karen said smugly when Oksana entered the living room with a beer. So what do you find out? She asked Karen, handing him a glass of wine, and then handed the glass to her husband. It doesn't matter. I don't want to know. I want to sleep. I'm going to sleep. Oksana turned to leave, but Maxim grabbed her hand. Let's sit for a while. She looked at her husband in embarrassment, but then sat down with him on the couch. It dawned on her that he wanted to show her to Karen. So, since you asked, it was about my instructive conversation that we had at the mall. Your husband wondered who was right. He lied to her. I told him it was easy to find out. I'd rather not talk about it. I don't care. She just wanted him to finish his wine and leave. She wasn't inclined to chat with the guy. He gave her goosebumps. Karen frankly ran his eyes over her scantily covered body, as if undressing her with his eyes. Come on. Don't tell me you're sure about what you said, he told her defiantly. You seem like a strong, independent woman. One of those women who is not averse to proving their case. Karen played her. Yeah, but I've known guys like you. There's nothing to reason with you. You're too stubborn to reason with you, she said with annoyance. But I really want you to prove me wrong. Show me once and for all that beautiful underwear doesn't do anything for you," he said with a sly smile. "So what are you suggesting? Or is it right to ask what you want me to do to prove my case?" She raised her eyebrows suspiciously. She was very suspicious of this man. "Don't worry, it's very simple." He grinned at her. "I saw what Maxim bought for you. Why don't you put it on and then put your underwear in front of Maxim and me? Let's see what kind of influence you have on us and find out what it does for you." "Forget about it. I'm not going to stand in front of you almost naked," she said with annoyance. "You're very disgusting. Hey, you don't need so much hostility just because you're too weak a woman to do what needs to be done to prove yourself right," he said mockingly. "You know that what I'm asking you to do is the best way to prove your case. Anyway, I'm going to bed," she said condescendingly and stood up. When she turned around, Karen looked hungrily at her 5 feet 7 inches, 125 pounds, smooth, creamy skin, long, juicy legs, her delicious ass, and licked his lips. He looked at Maxim and said, "I don't think you'll find out who's right, brother. Your wife should help prove it." He winked at him conspiratorially and gestured at Oksana, as if telling him to follow her. He was betting that Maxim was hooked now and would help. Maxim got up and followed Oksana, who went to the kitchen to get a drink of water before going upstairs. "Dear, he gives you the opportunity to get rid of him. Do it, prove that he is wrong in his views," Maxim told her carefully. Oksana turned around, putting her hands on her hips, and stared at him. "Oh, is that what you want? Do you want me to prove him wrong?" she asked him sarcastically. "Honey, I know you very well. You just want to show me to this scumbag to satisfy your perversity by putting on a lustful show." Maxim smiled shyly at her. "Yes, but I also want you to prove him wrong. Show him the blue lace underwear. This will teach him how to behave properly." "I don't like this idea at all. If it had been someone else, maybe I would have done it," she told him hesitantly. "Don't think about that, jerk. You'll do it for me. Please do it. You know I'm going to love it," he told her with love. "And you don't have to like the one you're teasing. In fact, it's even better this way. Just a purely physical thing, without any deeper connection." Oksana caught the excitement in her husband's voice, which aroused her. She turned her back on her husband, not wanting him to notice the signs of arousal on her face. Maxim hugged her from behind, pressing his hardness into her, and grabbed her by the waist. She leaned back against her husband and sighed with excitement. And we know that Karen was right about what he said at the mall. You like it when other men look at you, admire your hot body. All men. Men you don't even know. Just think of Karen as one of those unknown men who crave your hot body. They want to rape you. He whispered passionately in her ear. He kissed her neck. "Yes, I will do it," she told him softly. The desire to please her husband and excitement forced her to overcome her religious beliefs and conservative character. Her heart was racing, and she was filled with nervousness when she said yes. "Just please make sure he doesn't get up from that chair. I can't believe I'm going to do such a dirty thing while our kids are sleeping upstairs," Oksana said sheepishly. "I love you so much." Maxim hugged her and kissed her. "Put on strappy shoes with open socks, fix your hair, and do light makeup. I want you to look very attractive to this jerk." "Exposed himself to the public in front of us," he whispered fervently to her. She just nodded. "Now come on. You tell him you're going to do it," David said to his wife. Karen waited expectantly, sipping his wine. He grinned when he saw that Oksana had returned with Maxim. He immediately noticed her flushed face. Oksana was really annoyed by the smirk on Karen's face. "Good. I'll do it and put an end to it," she said with annoyance. "But the condition is not to get up from this chair," she warned him. "It's beautiful," Karen replied. "So, to show you what kind of influence you have on us, we'll both undress and wait for you. You know that this is the easiest and only way to see what you are doing to us when you walk in front of us in sheer lingerie and a thong." Oksana was completely shocked by what Karen offered, and she did not like what he offered, but he could not refuse. There is no other way. She just nodded, excited. Karen was pleased that his friend's beautiful blonde wife agreed to his proposal. He knew what he was going to propose next. It would not be easy to get Oksana to agree. "So how do we know what's going on with you when you're in your underwear?" asked Karen with a grin. I think you'll believe it, she said, looking at Maxim and smiling. As for knowing how it affects me, I'll tell you how I feel. Karen chuckled and said, No, I don't think it's going to work. How do I know you're telling the truth? I think one of us needs to touch you and see if you're wet. It's the only way, suggested Karen. No, no. You're not touching me. No, you gave your word that you would not move from the chair. Oksana answered anxiously. Good. I won't touch you and I won't get out of my chair, he said in a smug tone. But your husband can touch you. Then I'll see his fingers after they've been inside you. Karen said. Good. But Maxim won't touch me in front of you. Oksana said. This is not good. It should happen right here. In front of me. Stand with your back to me while he sticks his fingers in you. Karen thought he had her in his power. Oksana shook her head disapprovingly, but suddenly Maxim said, Fine, honey. You'll just turn your back on him. Let's get this shit over with. Good, if that's what you want. Oksana said reluctantly, looking at her husband. I will prove that you are wrong, woman, and how wrong you are. Karen chuckled. Anyway, we'll find out soon enough. Saying that Oksana had left, she felt excited thinking about what would happen, but also afraid. She just wanted Karen to leave so she could make love to her husband. We both know that's what you want. Karen continued. What do you want me to do? When he asked Karen, his throat was dry and his heart was pounding. Good. His vicious desires now completely controlled him. Baby, you look so hot. Turn around. Let Karen see you. Maxim told her. Do you like what you see? Karen asked, continuing to stroke his hard manhood. His question brought her out of her reverie. She immediately realized that she needed to stop this madness. She got too excited. She turned sideways and turned away from Karen. Okay, you guys had fun. She hesitated and then said shyly, and I'm ready to admit that I was wrong. Wearing beautiful underwear makes me feel good. It turns me on when I see the effect it has on a man. You've proved your point, Karen. Now you have to leave. Saying that she turned her back on him. Maxim was filled with apprehension upon hearing this question. He was filled with anxiety, thinking that this man was enjoying his woman again, but at the same time, this thought worried him too. Oksana looked at her husband. She was afraid that her husband would agree with Karen. She had never seen so much hunger, lust, and desire in her husband's eyes before. Her husband looked into her eyes and said, Yes. You're right. We need to see if she's wet. Dear. No. Please, no. Don't do this. She pleaded with a trembling voice. Why? You like being satisfied. Maxim was breathing heavily from excitement. He took his fingers away again and shoved them back into her wet receptive hole. She gasped and moaned loudly. Her mouth remained ajar. Both men could smell her arousal now. While Maxim continued to satisfy his wife, a shudder of pleasure ran through her body. Karen couldn't hold back any longer. He got up and came up behind her, grabbing her hips. He kissed her long, thin neck. She was startled by his touch, but she was too excited to stop him. Her husband was making her lose control with his actions. She looked at her husband and then turned sideways to look at Karen. But even through the haze of excitement, she protested, No, Karen. Please, no. You promised. You won't touch it, she said with difficulty breathing. Well, I lied, saying that he had locked lips with hers. Maxim got angry when he saw Karen's rude treatment of his wife. He also glowered at Karen. Baby, it's okay. I'm fine. Sit on the couch. Oksana told him in a hoarse voice. She was breathing heavily. Looking at her face, Maxim was shocked when he realized that his wife was turned on by rude treatment and rude expressions. Karen, you better stop, Maxim said angrily, stepping forward. Maxim couldn't believe his eyes. The enthusiasm that Oksana showed, completely humiliating herself, was shocking. His beautiful wife, the mother of his children, held Karen's buttocks in her hands as he licked his hairy ass. She kissed his hairy buttocks in the ass, sucked them, ran her tongue up and down his asshole. Karen continued to moan. and a continuous stream of curses continued to pour out of his mouth as he called Oksana all sorts of dirty names. She obediently did as he asked. Karen dragged her by the hair to where her husband was sitting and threw her face down on the seat cushion next to him. She fell awkwardly face down on the seat, falling to her knees on the floor. She looked so unworthy and humiliated. Maxim's heart sank as he watched his attractive, elegant wife being treated so rudely by men. She was really treated like a piece of meat. When he looked at her face, all he saw was surprise, to say the least. Maxim thought that his wife even managed to look elegant when she lay down and pleased him in bed. But today, a rude and arrogant man treated her like a cheap woman of easy virtue. This man had humiliated her, and she had accepted it without protest. He spanked her, spat on her, dragged her by the hair, but she didn't even try to stop him. It seemed that this woman, whom Maxim saw, did not have a sense of dignity and respect. She raised her head, and Karen immediately grabbed her by the neck and pressed her face against the pillow. Her face was back on the seat cushion, facing her husband. "I'll clean up and check on the kids," she said sheepishly, trying not to look at Karen. Maxim's heart sank when he remembered the children sitting upstairs while their mother was making love downstairs like a cheap woman of easy virtue.